at our RV, our vintage RV. It's been a long time since we've done a video about our RV. The last I showed y'all anything about it, we had a big issue. We ran into a huge issue with our transmission, and y'all probably thought we had given up on this thing because I haven't posted anything since then, and we were pretty discouraged. It was pretty heartbreaking. We had to have this thing towed. Well, my husband, Steven, is joining me today because he's going to be telling us a lot of what has been done to it. Since that video, there's been a lot done. On the transmission alone, there was a lot done. And so much, even besides the transmission, so much has been added and done. So that's what we're going to go over today. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's get started. All right, everyone, so I'm going to hand it off to Steven from here. I'm going to be behind the camera because he's going to tell y'all what happened with the transmission and what all he's had to do to get it fixed. So I guess that will be my first question to you, Steven. Tell our viewers, why did it fall out? Did you end up finding out?
I know when we took it to Ohio last year, when we got up there, I started hearing a noise, you know, like sound like maybe a bearing or something going out on it. And but I wasn't sure, you know, I thought it could have been a clutch throwout bearing, which isn't a big deal, but turned out it was the bearing inside the transmission that was going out. So that day that it went out on us, we was driving, and then all of a sudden I had it in fifth gear, and all of a sudden it just quit pulling. And so I thought it popped out a gear or something, so I put it, and it was still in fifth, so I thought maybe the clutch come apart in it. So I pulled it back into fourth gear, and I still had fourth, so I knew it wasn't a clutch. So we pulled into down the road at a service station, and the only gear that worked was fourth gear. I didn't have first through third, I didn't have fifth, and I didn't even have reverse. So fourth gear was the only thing that was pulling. And so my brother come and got us and brought us home, and so the next day I took the transmission out and took it apart, and there was a bearing at the very bottom of the transmission that had came apart, and it allowed the counter shaft to drop down and actually snap the counter shaft in half. So It was like a shaft that was like maybe over an inch in diameter. It just snapped it in half, and that was the reason fourth gear was the only one it pulled, because it didn't run off that shaft. So so I said, well, you know, we'll just have to find another shaft. Well, no one made a shaft for that thing. The counter shaft was obsolete. It was discontinued from Nissan. No one aftermarket sold one separately. So the hunt was on to either find a transmission or find just that shaft. So my neighbor actually had a few of these Nissans up there, and he gave me a transmission, just gave it to me, and I took it apart, but it was a different gear ratio. It had a different amount of teeth on the gears, so I couldn't use that. So I hunted around at a few other junkyards and found some whole transmissions, but I would have to buy the transmission, take it apart, and hope it was the right gear ratio. Well, fortunately, we have a guy up the road from our house here, and that's what he deals in, is like vintage Nissans, mainly like Z cars. And I went to see what he had, and he said he had a truck down there that was the same year model as this RV, and he said he would sell us a transmission out of it. But then he got thinking, he remembered his dad used to collect and save the transmission parts, and he said I believe there's a station wagon down there that's got a whole bunch of transmission parts in it. So we went down there, and sure enough, the station wagon was stacked to the roof with the transmission parts, just like it's in this RV.
Wow.
And the first one I picked up was the gear shaft, the counter shaft that I needed, the exact one. And I think he said I'll take $40 for it, so I gave him $60 and took it on home.
Wow.
You know, happy to get it. And we ordered, you know, good Japanese bearings to go back in it, and I actually upgraded the transmission, because the original, this is a 1984 model, and 84 they used a small 56 millimeter bearing up front. Well, and the next year in 85 they upped it to a 62 millimeter bearing, because I guess they was having issues even in the pickup trucks with them bearings coming apart. So I bored the case out and used a larger 62 millimeter bearing, which everybody on the forums say is a much heavier duty transmission, you know. so hopefully we'll eliminate that from ever happening, because you know, this thing only has like 76,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't want to rebuild the transmission every 76,000 miles. So
Nope.
hopefully it's good to go now with the upgraded parts and new parts. So yeah,
So
that
cool.
was that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, there was good things out of it too. But you know, I mean, the best thing being it didn't go out on us while we was out on a trip and have to spend, you know, thousands of dollars to get it back home.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so that was kind of a blessing in disguise that we was only like 2 or 3 miles from home when it went out. So that was good. And then plus I found some other things while I was in there that needed to be repaired. So I was able to fix all that while I was, you know, in there fixing the transmission. So yeah.
Cool. Cool. So that's it for the transmission. We're going to move and show y'all some other things we also did, that Steven also did, I should say. So we'll be right back. So pretty much all of this right here, even down to this ladder right here, is new and has been worked on. So where do you want to start, Steven?
Okay, well, we'll start with the bumper. So this was our original idea that we had in our heads about what we wanted to do. We wanted a carrier to put on the back so that we could haul our motorcycle when we go on trips. And but the problem was with this RV is the bumper and hitch setup was really flimsy. Like, you know, with these motorcycle haulers, you have to have a lot of tongue weight capacity because you're loading a motorcycle on the back. So it's not like a trailer where the axle, you know, the wheels of the trailer support most of the load. With a motorcycle carrier, all the weight is on the tongue of the vehicle. And the original hitch setup just wasn't, I mean, it maybe could have supported 200 pounds, but that was it. So me and my brother, we cut it all out, every bit of it, and we welded in 3-inch C-channel all the way up to the rear axle of the RV. So all that is really heavily being reinforced, all new hitch. I mean, this thing can probably support 800 pounds of tongue weight now, I would imagine.
Wow.
You know, you could probably just about lift the front of the RV off the ground without breaking, you know, the bumper off.
Gosh.
So, you know, that done that. So I wanted a really heavy duty motorcycle carrier. So I looked around, you know, and I looked at some of the Harbor Freight ones and stuff, but they really wasn't what I was looking for. They only had like a 400 pound weight capacity, and they didn't have any provisions on the backside to run a receiver hitch if you want to pull a trailer or put something like this on there. So I looked at VersaHaul, and this is what this is, a VersaHaul, but these things are really expensive, like $700 or $800. Well, you know, I was considering paying that much for it just because it's made in USA and it's really heavy duty. Well, you know, a blessing came up, and I was on Facebook Marketplace one day, and this one was for $200. And
wow.
It was only like an hour away from us, so you know, so we jumped in, and actually the day we went to get this was the day the transmission went out. We was going to take the RV and go and pick the carrier up and just slide it in the hitch and bring it home, and we was 3 miles from the house and the transmission went out.
Yep.
So we went back home, got the pickup truck, because I still wanted this. I didn't want to miss out on this good deal here. So we jumped in the truck and went and got it and dealt with the transmission later. So yeah, we done this, and if you look right here, I made a sewer hose carrier here because I wanted lots of room to haul all of our sewer hoses and all the accessories that go with that. And it really, none of that stuff would fit in this original bumper here.
Yeah, that's the original one that was supposed to also hold the sewer.
Yeah.
It just was not nearly big enough. So you just, I've showed them this before, but it's been a long time, and this is something you made.
Yeah.
And this is all just from Lowe's. It was just like...
Yeah, it's just plastic fence posts.
And then 2 end pieces, and you just use zip ties, and it's worked perfectly.
Well, it's bungee straps.
Or, I'm sorry, bungee straps. Yeah, not zip ties.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worked perfectly, hasn't it?
Yeah,
so,
it works great. But see, when we reinforced all this bumper, we originally had this on here, but after we done the new bumper, it raised it up, and the original ladder, instead of going down like it is now, it made a curve, and it bolted to the back side of the RV. Well, the ladder was in the way at that point, you know, for the box there. So I cut all that out and just welded a piece of aluminum straight down to the bumper, which actually made the ladder a lot stronger than it was before. Like before, you could get on it and it would flex up and down, but now it's, you know, as rigid as can be.
I love that.
Yeah, so this is actually better for the factory, I think. But so we done that, and then we was, you know, kind of thinking about some outside storage ideas, because this RV really lacks outside storage.
None. It has none.
Yeah, so we was thinking of different ways of putting some kind of box like this on there, and well, that's one thing that reason I wanted to Versa-Haul, because if you come around here, Sarah, show them. This actually has a receiver hitch on the back side of the carrier, and you can actually put a ball on the end of it, a receiver, and pull a trailer behind this thing. It's that strong.
Wow.
Well, you know, we was able to get a this carrier here, luggage carrier, and slides in the back of it, and then you know, this toolbox.
And this carrier is good too because it lifts up higher.
Yeah, that was the problem. You know, it's sticking out so far past the rear bumper that if you got into any type of dip, the carrier would drag the ground. So this, the luggage carrier part here is actually for an ATV is what it's for. You know, but it has like a 300-pound weight capacity, and it goes up so that you have plenty of clearance. So now you can go in a pretty good dip without, you know, everything dragging the ground. So,
right. And tell them about this box that we got here for our outside storage.
Yeah, so I was looking at different boxes that would fit on here, and I really like this Tractor Supply one, but we couldn't.
A friend of ours had one, and we looked at his and we're like, this would be perfect.
Yeah, and if it's on there, great, and there's lots of room. But we couldn't find any Tractor Supply that had one in stock right now. They're all out of stock. Well, I just happened to be walking around on the property here, and I just about tripped over this one. It was in the weeds and stuff, and so I said, well, who's this? And it turned out it was my brother's. He had it on a pickup truck of his a few years ago, and he took it off and didn't have no need for it anymore. So he sold it to me for like $20.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that was a good deal. And
this is a pretty heavy duty one, very nice. So we got it for a steal pretty much, and this is exactly what we needed.
So we have, you know, a good bit of outside storage now that we can put things, because we used, like I have my toolbox in here, and used to be inside the RV, and every time you'd hit a bump, all the tools would rattle and it'd make just an awful noise.
Yeah, that was the loudest thing on our RV voyage, was that thing rattling around. So
it's nice to have this on the back now.
Yeah, to have any outside storage is just so nice at all. It helps us out with the inside of the RV a ton.
And we put some lights back here because with the motorcycle on there, it blocks the tail lights on the RV. So we wanted to, you know, for safety, have lights so it would be good and visible.
All right, is that everything on the outside that's updated?
Well, we got the generator running. I don't know.
Oh yeah, you did a lot of work on this generator, didn't you?
Let me grab the key for it. Yeah, the generator was in pretty bad shape. Hadn't been ran in years, and the exhaust was completely missing on it. And it looked like somebody had drugged the exhaust off, like they had hit something, because all the box inside here was all damaged where the original exhaust had pushed up. So I replaced all of this and put new insulation, fiberglass insulation there, and we got all new exhaust. This is genuine Onan exhaust, and with the resonator on it, so it's fairly quiet, you know, for an old generator, but you know, it does a good job. It runs the AC just barely. I mean, you know, it takes a lot to start the AC up, but yeah, fixed new carburetor, run all new fuel lines. We had it running, and it was running pretty good, and then we went on, me and some friends went on a trip to Kentucky, and we was running it that night, and it started making a bad squealing noise, and then just locked up, just quit. So I come back home, and what had happened, there was a bearing had went out on the back side of the So we've been having a lot of issues with bearings going out, but so I had to kind of shimmy the generator to the side, and I was able to get the back cover off, and I replaced that bearing, you know, with just a little bit of work, but no big deal. But so we got a good running generator now.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So I think that's everything on the outside. So we're gonna head on in and show y'all. There's a few updates we've also done to the inside since y'all have last seen us. So let's head on in. Okay, and there's not a whole lot we've added since last time y'all have seen us, but just a few little things like this. This is a carbon monoxide detector. Pretty simple, but pretty important to have. Where did we get this? Just Walmart?
No, I ordered it off eBay.
Off of eBay? Okay, yeah. And then we got a few other little things for the inside of the RV for our trip that's about to come up. We got a water filter. They're all kind of down in here, but we did. Yes, they've seen this since they have seen that. But we did, since last time y'all have seen us, we did get like a water filter. We've got a power adapter now for hookups. So yeah, so I think that's...
We also have the 1,000-watt inverter now.
Yes, and, that's a big addition.
Yeah. And we have our control panel. I was able to put the control panel right here on the wall so we can turn the inverter on and off, and it also tells how much battery voltage we have, and it shows us how many amps that we're drawing.
Right. That was a big thing, you guys, having the inverter, because now we should be able to boondock for a whole night for the refrigerator. That's the only thing that we really need to run at night for at least just one night of boondocking is our refrigerator. So yeah, I think that's all of the updates since the last y'all have seen us. And you guys, please subscribe, because this is not all. I'm about to post more videos. We're about to do another full tour of this RV, and we're going to go over everything that we have done to this RV since we got it. And then we're going to have another video of us sitting down and talking about our whole journey of this RV, talking about where we got it. Like, y'all might not know this, but there's actually a very sentimental story for how we got this RV. And we're also going to break down in that video all of the expenses. So we're going to tell you an estimate of how much this costed us in total. And then also we have the big RV trip coming up soon. So we're going to have a lot of video footage from that. This, in a lot of ways, is going to be our first RV trip. We have never done an RV trip like this before. This is our first time really doing RVing. We're going to be at multiple different RV campgrounds. And yeah, it's going to be great, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and please subscribe, because there's so much more to come, and we can't wait to share it all with y'all. We love this thing, and we're so excited to use it. So thank you guys. I hope you all have a lovely day. And thank you, Stephen, again, for joining us and telling us all about it. And so give him some love in the comments. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.